Good Saturday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. It is being recorded in the early hours of Saturday morning, so some of the information may be out slightly, but nevertheless, this is not out in any way. This is tweets by our good friend Harry Hardrada showing remarkable warmth up into northern portions of Norway, while we've got a very powerful area of high pressure, record breaking temperatures in terms of warmth up across northern portions of Scandinavia. We're also talking about record high pressure in the UK, near record high pressure in parts of the Baltic states as well. But Harry says in a tweet, this was issued back 11 hours or so, so this was going back to yesterday, Friday. Just really grim out there today. This is from Tromsø in Norway. Daily record warmth up to 8 Celsius and potentially with just a minimum temperature tonight, as in this morning, of possibly 5.3 Celsius, the warmest February day on record, with averages here in Tromsø. So temperatures of +8 by day, +5 by overnight readings. This is an R tweet here saying that Tromsø just reached 8 Celsius for the first time since 1935. Wasn't enough to beat the monthly record yet, but a slight outside chance it could happen today. So we're seeing rainy conditions, we're seeing quite a significant snow melt, and this is all a consequence of very mild air that has been alluded to here in the channel for quite some time, getting driven northwards with strong high pressure, strengthening high pressure over Europe, while we've had deep areas of low pressure moving up between Iceland and Greenland. This is transporting a lot of warm air into the high latitude region, breaking records in terms of warm temperatures. Obviously, the easterly flow that we're seeing here in the UK, that is very, very modest chill by February standards, and obviously many people referring back to the beast from the east, whether it be February 2021, 2018, or going back to even November into December 2010. This is by no stretch of the imagination on par with that. But it's what is happening now that could get interesting later down the road. We are going to see a split in polar vortex within the troposphere. We're going to see one piece going into North America. We're going to see another piece going into far eastern Europe. Now, one could actually counteract the other in terms of UK interest. We'll get to that in just a second. I made mention of a potential record breaking high pressure for the UK. You only have to go back 2 weeks ago. Storm Eowyn provided a Northern Ireland high pressure record since at least 1900 anyway. You have to go back to the 1800s for something lower, but 948 millibars in Northern Ireland back with Storm Eowyn. Lowest pressure in over 100 years for Northern Ireland. It was the lowest pressure for the UK in January since 1995. And according to this tweet here, just bear with me a little second, and I'll bring it right up. But according to this tweet here by Bruce Messer, he states that the pressure hit 1047 millibars back on the 6th of February, which is a new February record for the UK in terms of mean sea level pressure. Now, according to the Met Office, the Weather Studio Live, which I'm not criticising in any way, but they pointed out a record for northeastern England, Bulmer to be exact, at 1046.1 millibars or hectopascals, whatever measurement you want to go by. But same thing pretty much. But he goes on to say that a 1047.0 hectopascal pressure was recorded at Eskdalemuir in Dumfries and Galloway, southern Scotland, back on the 6th of February, which is a February record, which is rather interesting. The record, all-time record for high pressure in Scotland and indeed the UK is 1053 millibars. That was recorded quite some time ago. So interesting stuff, I thought, with regards to high pressure. Speaking of high pressure, this is the current situation from a synoptic point of view. This is late in the Friday, early Saturday morning time frame, and we've got pressure at around 1056 millibars over western areas of Russia. We've got an area of low pressure just to the south of the UK. That is importing some milder air into the far south of the UK. We're actually seeing rain, sleet, snow, higher elevations of South Wales, for example, parts of the Midlands may see a little light covering, but we may see some more substantial snow. In other words, 2 to 5 centimeters roughly over higher parts of South and Mid Wales from this overall event. So this is the current situation according to GFS. You can see that little area of low pressure bringing some moisture in from the south. But if we look at the 850s, you can see here that we've got the relative chill. In fact, the temperatures at the time of recording, which is at what just past 4 a.m. this Saturday morning, we've got quite a mixture of temperatures here. +5 at Wick, +5 at Altnahara, but yet we've got -4 at both Loch Skarnock and at Inverness Dalcross. The reasons for the variation in temperature is all to do with breeze rather than cloud cover. We've got an east to southeasterly flow moving in. What that's doing is in exposure of that breeze, we're seeing the temperatures well above the freezing mark. So this is indicative of the fact that the air mass is rather modest in terms of chill. Then the further south you go over England and Wales, you've got generally temperatures slightly above the freezing mark. Same too for Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Where you've got the clear skies and light winds, we are seeing the temperatures dropping off. Here at Marfogan Weather HQ, the temperature did drop to -4 Celsius. Recently, we've got a -4 at Aviemore. At the moment, we've got a -6 at the Cairngorm Summit. So we do have pockets where there is a rather severe frost in place, but where you've got the cloud or the breeze, you're seeing the temperatures holding up. But when you factor in the temperature versus the breeze coming in off the east, there is the wind chills. So we've got, while we might have on the thermometer +5 Celsius, you've got a wind chill of either +1 at Wick, -1 at the Altnahara, but there's -7 at Loch Skarnock, -6 at Tame. We've got a -4, -5 at both Inverness and at Aviemore, sorry. And then the further south you go, both across England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, you've generally got a few degrees below freezing. We've got a few -4s and -5s in spots across, central England, for example. So certainly feeling rather raw in that breeze coming in from the east, southeast. So, in terms of where we're going with this, we can see that if we play through the GFS, there's that slightly milder air getting lifted northwards. We're losing some of that colder air in the mid levels of the atmosphere. That is now getting drifted north. If you notice here, if we go back to the here and now, there's that mild air that I was talking about over Tromsø, over northern portions of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Got temperatures +5 Celsius at 5,000 feet over this area, which is very, very mild air by early February standards for sure. But as we continue to play through, what is going to happen is we're going to continue to see these spokes, lobes of cold air running around the base of the high. Nothing particularly cold across the continent at the moment here. Continue to play through. You can see here more cold air in a modest sense drifting out of the continent across into the UK and Ireland. Still got very mild air associated with that west and northern flank of the high. It's lifting that mild Atlantic Ocean air around the high itself. But what is rather interesting as we continue to play through over the next several days, there's not a great deal of change. But let's move on to something rather interesting. I want to show you something that is very much worth pointing out towards the middle portions of this month. So if we look at the GFS ensemble, this was something I tweeted and put on Facebook earlier on, showing that if you look at the northern hemisphere view, so just bear with me a little second here, and I want to show you the 850 temperatures real quick. So this, in fact, let's look at the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies. And you can see here, there's the very powerful area of high pressure at the moment across northern portions of Europe, extending towards the Caspian Sea and the Ural Mountains. As we play through this loop, you see another refire of the ridge across the top, the north of the UK, between Iceland and Scotland here. And as we continue to play through, what is going to happen is we're going to start to see a deepening in the trough exit North America. And as it does so, it's going to allow a bit of a westward pull, a retrogression of the high out of to the north of the UK and Scandinavia over towards Greenland. There's your negative Arctic oscillation and North Atlantic oscillation pattern starting to show up. And then as we move towards the middle portions of the month, look at the difference here. We're starting to see a deep low moving displaced to the south because of the building of the high over the top. But what we are going to start to see is the reasons this is quite interesting is we're going to see a piece of the polar vortex within the troposphere, so the lower portions of the atmosphere. We're going to see a split in the vortex. One piece going into North America, the other piece going into Eurasia, and the question mark is going to be, where is that cold going to go? This is going to be where Europe is going to turn colder as we move towards mid-month. This is Friday the 14th, Valentine's Day. We've got this very powerful ridge of high pressure centered right over the pole, as you can see here, over Greenland. So you've got the negative Arctic oscillation, you've got the negative North Atlantic oscillation. What is the Arctic oscillation? When you've got a very powerful positive over the top, so very anomalous high pressure over the Arctic, that is forcing Arctic air to drive southwards towards the middle altitude pattern. And as it does so, the question mark is, where does that cold go to? Now, what you've got is you could have cold starting to build into Central and Eastern Europe here, and it's the position of this high that may try to pull this cold that's building into Central and Eastern Europe westwards towards the UK and Ireland. All the while, there's a cold Arctic air getting driven south over North America. That's going to force the jet stream to strengthen. That means we're going to start to become more active in terms of a westerly flow coming off the Atlantic here. The question mark is the potential cold that's getting driven eastwards out of the Arctic into Central Europe, then west towards the UK and Ireland, is it going to get counteracted by a strengthening of the westerlies over the Atlantic? So we've got this crossroads, we've got this collision between easterlies and westerlies developing here as we start to see this pattern evolve. So this is the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies. Let's have a look at the 850s real quick. This is interesting. So you can see here the bitterly cold air driving south over North America. We've got the bitterly cold air now starting to get pushed down into Eurasia. Look at the coverage of the cold is starting to increase as that ridge of high pressure, that mountain within the atmosphere, starts to split the vortex within the troposphere, forcing one piece into North America, one piece into Eurasia. Continue to play through this loop. You can see here that that cold air mass is trying to pull westwards here over the continent. All the while, we're starting to tighten the gradient over between Caribbean and northeastern United States. We're going to strengthen the jet as a consequence, and therefore areas of low pressure moving along a strong jet is going to try to then push milder air up into the UK and Ireland. All the while, we've got this secondary piece. So the two out of the two pieces of the vortex, one piece that's getting driven into Europe is going to try and push westward. So let's have a look and see what the European view of this is looking like here. And this is going to show you kind of in a slightly better way. So if we play through the loop here, there's that bitterly cold air getting driven southwards, and it's attempting to go westwards, but all the while we're starting to see the strength in the jet, milder air that's going to try to get lifted with areas of low pressure, going to try and get lifted out of the Azores towards the UK and Ireland. All the while we've got a large cold air mass that has now been displaced from the pole down into eastern areas of Europe. This is the crossroads that we have to pay close attention to here. So you've got this battle between cold coming in from the northeast and mild coming in from the southwest here. Let's have a quick look at the ECMWF model and see what it's indicating. So again, it's seeing the cold air getting driven out of the pole, moving towards the UK and Ireland. And it looks as if the latest run of the ECMWF has that cold winning the battle between the Arctic and the Atlantic here. So this is going to be a very interesting test coming up. Let's have a very quick look at the snow projections. of the model, and then we'll end it at that. In terms of snowfall, looks as if we're increasing the amount of snow across the continent as well as the UK and Ireland. Let's have a look a little bit closer. Northwest Europe view, play through the loop here, and it's really towards the middle portions of the month. That's when you're starting to increase the snow depth across the continent. Looking at the GFS, my suspicion would be that there is less of snow depth because it looks as if the GFS has the Atlantic more winning the battle, whereas the ECMWF has the Arctic winning the battle. So certainly very interesting times to come here on the channel. And by the way, tomorrow 4 p.m. Hope you can join me. Global Weather Report live. It's the 180, the 128th. I'll get there. 120th edition, talking about the record snow in Japan, the extreme rainfall in Queensland, Australia, and the huge temperature fluctuations that we're seeing over the North American side of the Atlantic as well, and much more, obviously, also. So I hope you can join me for the live stream at 4, and also be sure to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and have you subscribed to Marfogan Weather here on YouTube yet? If you haven't, it's absolutely free. There's 7 days a week content here on the channel. Lots going on. So now is the time to hit that big red button. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.